Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast. As always, we are powered by our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal has you covered. They can haul rock and sand, they can do driveway work, and can now do horizontal grindings of large wood debris piles. Give Keith a call at 229-938-2412 today. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. They're the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello, and thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. I'm your host, Tim Estes, and I'm joined by your co-host, Scott Westbrook. The regular season, Scott, for all three of our local schools is now over, and it's playoff time. Southland Academy will begin their playoffs this week, while the Georgia High School Association has pushed their playoffs back a week. So Sumter County and Southland Academy, or Sumter County and Schley County, will have an extra week off. But, Scott, going to be an interesting playoff time.
It is, and the season starts all over once the playoffs kick off. And one thing we've got to congratulate all three of our teams, because it's a successful season when you make it to the playoffs. You know, there's been some times in the past few years where some of our local teams have not made it to the playoffs, and that's a time for reflection, a big time for reflection. But you know, we got, Schley County just barely missed winning the region, and as you know, one loss from Sumter County to also just get knocked out of first place in the region. But Southland's going to kick us off this week and get us started on the playoffs this week.
If you're watching us tonight on YouTube and you're in the Colorado University football facility, we want to say hello. A lot of folks watching us out at Colorado. The Buffaloes having a great season. You'll notice Scott is repping his Colorado hat tonight, and I want to say hello to those folks. Also, Scott, I've been at GRPA, that's Georgia Recreation and Park Association, been at their conference all this week, and we've got a lot of those folks watching tonight. So a good audience for us tonight.
Well, I was going to do it towards the end, but since you brought it up, I want to congratulate Tim. Is now the president-elect. You're the president. Yeah, right. You had the big Grand Poobah ceremony last night, and they could not have picked a better president. I mean, I put it on your Facebook page. It's something that you're passionate about, you're sincere about. You want to see recreation in Georgia do well, and you're in a prime position to make sure that happens.
Well, thank you. I look forward to a good year of work. Scott, let's start with Southland Academy tonight. They finished the regular season at 3-7. Southland, who had been a AAA school as far as I can remember, is now this year a AA school. The GIAA, which is the organization that Southland plays in, uses the Max Preps rating system to determine their seedings, and the Raiders go into the playoffs as the number 6 seed in AA. They will play at Briarwood. Briarwood is in Warrenton, Georgia, and they'll be the number 3 seed in the opening round. Briarwood is 8-1 on the season. Their only loss was to a very good Edmund Burke team, 35-18 a few weeks ago. So Southland going to go on the road, but very fortunate that they're able to be in the playoffs. And Scott, Southland's had a pretty good year. We've seen them grow throughout the year.
It's been no secret they've struggled with some injuries and number-wise. But one thing I have noticed about Southland, as you have also, they have steadily improved throughout the season. They've gotten more comfortable with the wing tee. They've bought into the system, and they've seen success with it. But something else, too, is Southland plays to the level of their competition, it seems like. And they have really stepped up against stronger teams. So if I was a Southland fan or a Southland player or a Southland coach, that would give me some optimism going into this game.
Yeah, if you're a Southland player or fan watching this show, we were able to find out a little bit about Briarwood. So what do you want to know about Briarwood? Well, we always want to know about their quarterback, their running backs, those guys that are skilled players that usually are the difference makers in a game. First of all, they're 8-1. They have 2 guys in the backfield that are averaging over 100 yards a game. Charlie Mosley, he's a senior running back. Right now he averages 126 yards a game. Mason Poss, their other running back, is averaging 104 yards per game on the ground. So, Scott, you got 2 guys back there, pretty equal, it sounds like. So if I'm Southland Academy this week, I know I'm going to be preparing for the run.
You got a 2-headed monster back there. You got 2 running backs that are both averaging over 100 yards a game. That's unique and unusual for this level of football. You'll usually have one strong running back, and then another one will kind of come in there and give the horse a little breather every once in a while. But in this situation, you got 2 ponies back there that are going to get the ball, and they're just you're at their mercy. So you shut one down, the other one's looks like he's equally skilled.
That's right. And not only can they run the football, they can throw the football as well. Their quarterback is sophomore Cutler Fleming. He's thrown for 19 touchdowns on the season, a total of 1,200 yards for the year. So this team pretty balanced and a good offense. That guy Mason Poss, that was one of the running backs, he also leads the Buccaneers on defense. They're averaging 9. He's averaging 9 tackles a game. Here's what really impressed me, though. They've played 9 games, and he's got 10 sacks. Until their final 2 games of the season, Briarwood didn't allow more than 12 points in a game.
Wow. I tell you what, on paper, Briarwood looks pretty strong.
They really do. Chance Jones has got 10 games under the Raiders' belt now in that wing tee. You and I talk to folks every week from Southland, and Scott, what we're hearing a lot of is they do such a good job of decoying and hiding the football that even as a fan in the stands, it's hard to quickly pick up where that ball is, and they've gotten better and better and better each week. They're 3-7. We're not going to beat a dead horse. We've talked about what a great schedule they've had this year. And you mentioned it, Scott. They play really well against the better teams, and so far they've competed.
Right.
What they haven't done is win against one of those teams. They get right to the door, but they can't kick the door in. So is this week going to be the week that they play one of those teams and get to kick the door in?
I think that's indicative of the low numbers. They just get exhausted by the fourth quarter, and that's unfortunate that this season that they just didn't have the numbers that came out that probably could have come out this year. Hopefully that'll be remedied next year. But that just shows you that the game plan they're going in with, the athletes they're going in with, they are hanging. They are keeping the game close. If they keep this game close or end up getting going the fourth quarter ahead, they'll be in prime position for an upset.
Scott, you mentioned numbers. As I looked at the Max Prep roster, Briarwood has 29 players. Southland has 23, so pretty equal there in numbers. The other good thing is Southland had a week to recuperate, so they're getting some of those guys that have been banged up off. So I think this is going to be a lot better game than a lot of folks over in Warrenton would anticipate.
I think so too. I think that they're going to be ready. That wing tee is working for them. They finally have gotten down. It was a little rocky early in the season, but when you put in a new offense, that's going to happen when you go against live competition. But like I said, as the season has progressed, they have steadily improved. That's indicative of good coaching staff and indicative of the young men are buying into it and starting to figure it out, and it's becoming second nature. They're getting the muscle memory and the repetitiveness of the running the wing tee, and that's when it becomes deadly.
Yeah. Got a phone call today from William Rooks, the athletic director over at Sly County. He used to be our Southland Academy, and he used to be my radio partner. Mm-hmm. Made the move over to Southland Academy, and Rusty Tundy and Melvin Kinslow, of course, do those games. But one of those guys is going to be out tomorrow, and William's going back on the radio. So if you can't make it to the ball game, it will be broadcast on 98.7 WISK, and I assure you, William Rooks will do a fine job filling in.
Who's he filling in for?
I'm not sure which.
Oh, okay.
Not sure.
All right.
So Southland Academy tomorrow night, 7:30 from down in Warrenton. This segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast is brought to you by One Digital Solutions. They are a steward for business growth and personal development. One Digital resolves real problems for your business and for your employees in dealing with things like human resource management, financial services, and employee benefits. Thanks to Will Peterson and One Digital Solutions for sponsoring the Integrity Sports Podcast. You can call them today at 229-347-6289. It's really everything all in one. It's One Digital. Scott, the Sly County Wildcats finished their regular season at 6-4. This places them as the number 2 seed in their region. We just got through talking to Coach Darren Alford. He was enjoying supper in here tonight with his wife. Got off to kind of a rocky start against a pretty good schedule, but even though they're 6-4, they finished in the region 5-1.
Right. And then and probably I know they wish they had that Macon County game back. Macon County had a player that didn't start the season and didn't finish the season with them, but got a lot of playing time in that game, and so that probably was the difference in that game. But yeah, I think Sly County's poised to go in the playoffs healthy and probably have some surprises throughout the playoff season.
So the way Division II, Class A Division II, does their playoffs is they have a predetermined region matchup in the first round. Sly County's in Region 6. We match up with Region 7. So with Sly County being the 2 seed, they'll match up against the 3 seed from Region 7. That 3 seed is going to be Tryon. So here's how it will break down. Manchester won Region 7. So they're going to match up against the number 4 from our region. That'll be Marion County. Bowden, we know all about Bowden. They finished 2nd. They're the 2 seed in the region. They'll match up with Taylor County, who is our 3 seed. Scott, these 3 teams in Region 7 are 3 of the top 6 in Class A Division II, coming out of Region 7. We've got Tryon. They're 8-2. Their only losses on the season are to the number 1 team in the state and the number 4 team in the state, Manchester and Bowden.
Sly County has been in the region that's been the probably one of the strongest ones in that division the past couple of years. They jostled the region around a little bit, put Manchester in there. Tryon is always going to have a strong team. They're always going to make a strong showing in the playoffs. But Bowden, the last 3 seasons, they've had just really, unprecedented for them success. And I think that Taylor County had Bowden in the first round last year. I think they went up there last year. I think they didn't go up there at full strength. I think that's when Cameron Longhorn was hurt. He went up there, and Bowden was just unbelievably strong last year. But this is going to be tough for our region. It's going to be a tough hill to climb for all the teams. So I think that Sly County is in probably the best position to have some success, as well as Macon County. But we'll see about number 3 and 4, see how well they do.
Scott, let's talk a little bit about Sly County, the guys, some of the guys on their seasons and how they've done. And it starts with the quarterback. We had some questions about Blake Weldon. He had done good as a backup as a sophomore on very limited playing time. We really didn't know what to expect coming into the season, but I felt like Blake really had a breakout season. The junior quarterback threw for 2,100 yards, 23 touchdowns. That's in 10 games. Of course, you've got the playmaker, Kendall Sims. He's been the biggest offensive weapon all season, both at receiver and as a return specialist. Late in the season, some guys really came on. And this is one of the things we talked with Coach Alford about tonight was guys like Amir Nelson and Jeremiah Johnson at the running back spot. We didn't see them for the first 3 or 4 games. They really came on strong there toward the backside.
They did. They were both relatively young, inexperienced to an extent. And once they got their sea legs under them, they did remarkably well. Amir has just had a great season on both sides of the ball.
Defensively, everybody in America knows about the 5-star Zayden Walker. Zayden's had a good year, and what people do is they find out where he is on the field and they run the opposite direction. But he needs a lot of guys around him, and we knew that guys like Brody Smith were going to be a big effect, and Brody's had a good year. He's got 33 solo tackles. But Scott, some guys also stepped up that we weren't expecting, and the one guy I want to mention for sure is Jonathan Leggett. We didn't know a lot about Jonathan coming into the season, but he's exploded over the last 5 games. While Zayden Walker leads the tacklers, just saying the last 5 or 6 games, Leggett now has 28 solo tackles. So really this back half of the season, he's been the star over on that side of the ball.
I think, we both knew Zayden and Brody were probably going to have a good season. And Leggett, I've been a Leggett fan for a while. Last year, whenever he had limited playing time last year with the team we had, but anytime he got in the game, he made an impact. He was the spark. He was seizing every opportunity that was given to him, and then just carried over into this season also.
Scott, you and I see pretty much every Sly County game each week, either on the PA or on the radio. Talk to me a little bit about your feelings of where we've been really good and where we need to improve going into the playoffs.
I think consistency, that's what we need to work on. I mean, we'll have sparks of greatness, and we would, joke, especially early in the season, well, which team's going to show up tonight? We need to be consistent on both sides of the ball and have success on both sides of the ball. It's been one night the offense will be firing and the defense will be flat. The other night, it's been back and forth, and that's what you work throughout the season. We need some consistency. Where we have done well is, I think scheming for the teams we played against. There have been some times when we've seen, the defense would be in the right spot to make the play, but yet the running back or quarterback would break one tackle, and next thing you know, he's 80 yards down the field. So being, watching the film, being ready with what they throw at you is one thing, but being able to square up and hit it and drive it in the ground is another thing for us. And so I hope that we can be, consistent on both sides of the ball and really follow through with the preparation and with on Friday night, the preparation that's Monday through Thursday, and then Friday night we actually do exactly what the coaches have coached us all week to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. We started off really slow. I think 1-3 was our start, and we didn't really know who was going to be our featured back. So we became one-dimensional on offense the first half of the season. And Blake did a great job carrying us where he could, but it's got to be a little balanced. And later in the season, midway through that season, when Amir Nelson and Jeremiah Johnson could get back there and team up with Fig, you got a 3-headed monster back there. When one of them's not having a great night, the other one does. And boy, if you ever put it where all 3 of them are together, we're going to be really good. You hit the nail on the head. I think with our weakness to start with was we were doing a lot of arm tackling, weren't hitting folks in the mouth. We've done a lot better job with our tackling. So I think Sly County has put themselves in a good spot to make a playoff run.
Most definitely. I think that, something we're forgetting are the line on both sides of the ball. Coach Alford told us at the beginning of the season he was most excited about this offensive line. Well, now's their time to shine. Now here we're in the playoffs. Here you go. You've got a second chance at the season right now. Come out and do what you're supposed to do and what you've been coached to do and what you're capable of doing.
Absolutely. This segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast is brought to you by the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. They're located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Americus. You can reach them at 928-3686. Stop by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their fine staff and let them discuss your insurance needs with you. They can even do the famous discount double check. That will help to ensure that you're receiving all of the savings available to you. Thanks to Marty McDonald, State Farm Insurance. And remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. That brings us to the 9-1 Sumter County Panthers. They finished out the regular season last week with an absolute blowout win over the Columbus High School team, and the Panthers will begin their playoff run next week as the number 2 seed in Region 1 AA. Carver of Columbus is the 1 seed in that region. Sumter will be at 2, Spencer at 3, and Shaw at 4. We won't know about the AA playoff bracket until our broadcast next week. They will do some type of rating system there. Several games need to be made up in AA this week as Georgia High School pushed the playoffs back due to all the weather we had a few weeks ago. But, Scott, I want you to think about this. From 0-10 2 years ago to 5-5 last year, to now 9-1, I would say that Will Rogers is a shoo-in for the Region Coach of the Year.
I think probably a lot of people in the state are surprised at the success Sumter County has had, but I know 2 people in the state that are not surprised at all.
That's right.
And that's me and you.
Yeah.
Because we felt that this was going to be their season to have their breakout year. You know, Will Rogers, there's no secret to his success. He expects a lot from his players, and he gives a lot to them, and he brings discipline to the practice, and it shows on the field. And I think those kids genuinely love playing for him, and you can see that.
And Scott, I've heard this said that winning gets everybody on board, but Will Rogers had folks on board before they were really winning big, and one of those groups that he got on board, and they've really even expanded this, is the business community here in Americus. And folks are buying into what he's doing.
Well, so many remember the success that America's High School had for so many years.
Yeah.
And they have longed for that again. And since they've merged the schools, this has been the first time that they've actually seen that in football.
Yeah. They'll start the playoffs this coming week, and we'll let you know who will be their opponent on our show next week. We're going to have Logan Luton, who you met a few weeks ago on our show. Logan will be stringing for us, so he'll get some stats so we can report not just on the overall score, but who did what, and Logan will help us out with that. Scott, I did look up some stats. Ishmael Jones, their quarterback, has thrown for 723 yards and 6 touchdowns on the season. A.J. Kearse and Quayshawn Tatum, they've been their leading rushers. Kearse right now has 687 yards and 11 touchdowns, while Tatum's run for 653 yards and 6 touchdowns. Pretty good double-headed monster back there in the backfield with Kearse and Tatum.
Most definitely. You know, Kearse battled that injury all last year, and I think if anybody's been chomping at the bit to get out there and show what they can do, it's him.
The story of this team all year, the Panthers defense. Junior Kendall Thomas has just shown out all season. He's led the Panthers with 48 solo tackles. Donald Minner's had a great year. Donald Minner had 39 tackles. And then you got those 2 guys back there at linebacker. You got Walter Carter and Kearse that'll get back there at linebacker. Walter Carter's got 19 tackles himself. Defensively, this team flies to the football. When the initial hit is made, you better not think you're going to get away, because 4 or 5 more are coming at you.
That's exactly right. And I think, you know, take that Carver game out of the equation, and you know, if you looked at Sumter County stats, they would be just incredibly impressive. You know, I think I'm hoping that we get another shot at Carver. I'm hoping it's going to be on a neutral field, and I feel quite certain the outcome will be significantly different.
And I hope it'll be somewhere near the end, maybe the semifinals or the finals. So good luck to Sumter County, and we look forward to previewing their playoff game on next week's show. Thanks to the Fish House Restaurant, located at 224 North Jackson Street, for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Owner Mark Tyler and his staff have been providing this area the best seafood for many years. Whether it's fresh fish, that's hard to say, fresh fish, shrimp, or oysters in their seafood center, or a hot meal and a cold drink in the Fish House Restaurant next door. Let them provide you a delicious meal tonight. Give them a call. Their number is 924-5177. Thanks to the Fish House Restaurant for sponsoring the Integrity Sports Podcast. Scott, really only one game to predict for this week. That's going to be Southland Academy as they travel down to Warrenton to take on Briarwood. Give us your predictions.
On paper, Briarwood should win this game. But we've had a lot of games this year that we've said Southland on paper should probably lose, and they either won or maybe lost in the last few minutes. I'm going to go with Briarwood for this reason. Of course, I'm rooting for Southland, but I want to give Southland players any motivation they can muster up, that any extra motivation to prove me wrong and let me eat a little crow next week. I hope I'm doing that one up next Thursday night.
Scott and I have been split on Southland most of the year, and I'm going to be split again this time. I don't know anything about Warrenton, Georgia. They don't have very much recreation, so I haven't been down that area very much. What I have done is paid attention to what Southland Academy has done over the last 4 weeks of the season. I guess starting with Tift area, because they really competed with Coach Eric Soliday's Panthers. Mm-hmm. They keep chipping away, and they get right to the end, and something happens, and the other team finds a way to win. I'm going to go with the Raiders this week and think they're going to find a way to compete, keep it close, and finally at the end of the game, somebody's going to make a play, and they're going to kick the door in and upset the Briarwood Buccaneers. That's our only area game. It is an off week for most teams. In our area, the storm didn't affect us near as badly as it did those in more southern Georgia and southeast Georgia. Mm-hmm. So, Scott, most of the games being made up, not in our area.
Right.
I do want to talk a little bit about basketball, college basketball, because that's starting this weekend here in the Sumter County area. Georgia Southwestern's men's basketball team, Coach Aaron Coombs and the Hurricanes, they get their season started tomorrow night. They'll travel up to Gaffney, South Carolina, and they'll take on North Greenville University. The women of the Hurricanes, they'll host Florida Tech on Saturday at 2 o'clock, and that's going to be in the Storm Dome. Scott, that's a lot of fun to get over and watch Georgia Southwestern.
Most definitely. We got a new coach, a new ladies coach, who's a women's coach, who's going to this will be her first game, so I hope that she comes out with a victory.
I do too. Not to be outdone, the South Georgia Tech Lady Jets and Jets get their season started. The men's basketball team is over in Tuscaloosa at Shelton State. Many of you may remember Coach Rico Dawson. He coached at Georgia Southwestern for a few years, then went over and coached at Central Georgia Tech. He's now the head coach at Shelton State, and they'll be over in Tuscaloosa at Shelton State, the men. The women, however, are going over to Tallahassee Community College, and the Lady Jets will be playing in the Tallahassee Community College Invitational Tournament. So college basketball getting underway.
That's right. And I think in South Georgia Tech, traveling to Tuscaloosa, I think there's another school, another university in Tuscaloosa. The name escapes me right now, but I think there is one over there. But they'll be playing Shelton State if you're in the area.
That's right. That's right. That other school, they told me the directions to get there where you follow the smell, and when you step in it, you know you're there. Basketball season is something we'll also cover here on the Integrity Sports Podcast, but definitely want to concentrate on Georgia high school football playoffs and Southland Academy playoffs until all of that is over. But it is a busy time of year this year in Southwest Georgia. Scott, looking at Southland Academy, looking at playoffs 2 weeks down the road, how do you feel about all of our local teams?
I feel pretty good. I mean, probably if I have to put money on who's going to go the deepest in the playoffs, we'd have to go with Sumter County. The other two are going to need to, play well, play consistent, listen to the coaches, do what they've been coached to do, and they're going to need maximum effort from everybody on the field.
All right. Thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. We are available on Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and several other social media platforms. Please like and share this video, Scott. For the 4th or 5th week in a row, we reached over 3,000 viewers.
Wow. Wow.
Growing.
That's it. You know, maybe those people just drop some money in the mail and send it to us.
That would be nice. We may have to get a Venmo or something.
That's it. That's right. We take up a love offer.
That's it.
Digital love offer.
Digital love offering. We'll get some Venmo. Hey, guys, out in Colorado, thank you again for watching us in the football facility. If you're new to the program, make sure and like our video, share it with your friends, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. For Scott Westbrook, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching.